Okay. So we have this form here, and what we've done is so notice here we have a couple of, this is our form tag, we have a couple of parameters here. So one, we have name, that's the label of the name, that's how we're going to reference it later in JavaScript. Okay. Also we have, what we've done here is we've set up an event handler. Okay. So what we're telling it here is we're saying to in this code, we're saying when this form is submitted, right? That's what this event means. On submit, right? What we want you to do is we want you to run a block of code or a function that we've labeled validate form. Okay? And that function, it lives in our JavaScript file. Okay? So remember we talked about functions last week. Remember I said we can group blocks of blocks of code, of commands, and we can label it. And the reason we do that is so we can reuse code, right? We don't want to have to copy and paste code over and over and over and over again, right? So, and then rather than, like, imagine if we had to stick all of this code here that I'm highlighting, if we had to put this here, right? Imagine how much more complex this whole area would be with all that code. But instead, we just call validate form. Okay? And then that initiates this block of code here. Okay? So let's step through it. We'll pretend we're the browser and that we're interpreting this code. Okay? So let's say when we press the submit button, so if I were to go over here, fill out these forms, then press this button, okay? What happens now is it's going to try and run this function. Are you done? Okay. Do you want to email it to me? So, here, I'll just... Okay. So let's start from where we were just at, okay? So as soon as we press the button, we're going to run the function called validate form. Okay? So the code is going to jump up into this file, and it's going to run this code here, validate form. Okay? So what's this right here? What's this area right here? What are we doing here? Yeah, we're declaring a variable. And so what's a variable again? What can we do with variables? Yeah, we can set them to be true or false, but we can set them to be anything, almost anything. Strings of characters, numbers, all sorts of things, okay? So what we're doing here is we're setting the value of this variable called password. So what we're doing is we're going to get the value, whatever is stored in this form here, in here, because this is the one called password. Okay, so the way we do it is we use this dot notation here and then this double array. Okay, so the first thing we reference is we say document. Okay, that means that's the highest level of thing we can select, right? Which is essentially the whole thing, the whole shebang, document. Okay, then within document, so we use the dot notation. Okay, so we're saying within document, I want to look at all the forms in the document. Okay, any HTML forms you've made. Okay, so then that's going to give us this multi-dimensional array. Okay, so I'll explain arrays a little bit later in detail, but all you have to know for now is that what we're saying here is that we want to look at, so this tells us we're going to look at all the forms. And then what this says is, no, I don't want to look at all the forms. I only want to look at the form named login form, which is what we've done here, right? We named it login form. Okay? So now we're accessing this form. Okay? And now we're going to go even finer grain. Now we're going to say, so within the document and within the forms and within the login form, I want to access the element named password. Okay? And so that gets us this thing, whatever's in here. or actually not what's in it, but the whole box, everything about it. Okay? And then we have to go one more, even further. We have to say, okay, what about the box do you want? I want the value, the thing that's stored in there. Okay? And that's what we're getting. Okay? So see, it's sort of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of refinement. Right? So first we're selecting the entire document, then we're selecting all forms in the document, then we're selecting only the form named login form, then we're selecting in that form only the element named password, and then we're selecting the value. Okay? And after all of that, so we're getting the value of what's inside that form, we're going to stick it into password. So now password is equal to whatever was in here. Okay? So whatever I typed in here, so if I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Okay, so let me take off the password thing for a second. Let me put this as text so you can see, so it makes a little more sense. So we'll refresh it now. Now we can see, right? So if I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, when we click submit, password is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? That's the value of what's inside here. Okay? Then what we're doing is, so the value of password, it's not only just the letter, it's actually an object that includes the content, so the actual letters, but also a few other things, some other information. So one thing we can get, so by just typing password.length, right? What that'll return is the number of characters in that variable. Okay? So if I type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what's the value of pass length going to be after this is run? 5. 5, right? Well, what if I type in A, B, C, D? What's the value then? 4. Well, password will equal ABCD, but password.length is equal to 4. Okay? So then what we've done now is we've said if pass length is less than 8, then we're going to display a message. So the first thing we do is we say, again, we're referencing the document. Okay? Then within the document, we're running another function. This is actually a function call. And so the function does pretty much what it says. So look, the function call is called getElement by ID, right? So remember here, what's the ID of this element? Password message, right? Does this element have an ID? No, that's the label of the element.
Okay.
The ID, you have to set the ID.
Okay.
Right?
Oh yeah, it would be container or something.
Well, if that's what you call it.
Set it in.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're saying get an element by its ID, and then we're passing in password message, which was the ID we gave it. Okay? So that gives us access to this paragraph here. But the paragraph is empty. Nothing's in there yet, but we're going to stick something in there. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to stick in this string, right? So we're accessing something called inner HTML. So that's the inside. We're accessing this part here. We're accessing that. And we're going to put in some text now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in this text. Sorry, your password is too short. Please enter a password of at least 8 characters. Okay? So let's try it. And so if I enter this and then I enter that password, it's only 4, and I click press me. Sorry, your password is too short. Okay? So I'm going to show you something called, I don't think we've looked at it yet, called the JavaScript Console. Okay? And so Chrome and Firefox have these tools. Okay? So what you can do is in Chrome, we can click on the 3 lines here, and we can go to Tools, and we can go to the JavaScript Console. Okay? So that gives us some really, really handy tools. Okay? So what we can do now is we can go to sources, okay? And we can, so notice this. This is familiar, right? This is our JavaScript file. Okay? So what we can do is we can do something called inserting a breakpoint. Okay? So when code runs, it usually runs really, really quickly. So we're unable to really see what's going on. But what we can do is we can insert a breakpoint and tell the browser, okay, I want you to freeze here. When you get to this line of code, just freeze for a second so I can see what's going on. Okay? So the way we do that is we open up the JavaScript console, okay, and we click. See how the lines are all numbered? 1, 2, 3, all the way up to whatever, however long your program is. So if we click on the number here, see how there's a blue arrow thing there? So that means when you run the code, it'll freeze there. Okay? So let's try it. Let's refresh. And so remember, when is validate form? When's this function going to run? When's that going to run? When I click press me, right? Why? Because when in our index file, that's what we've set the onSubmit event to run validate form. Okay? So now, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, back to the JavaScript console. So now I'm going to press the button. Okay, so I'm putting in A, B, C, D, and I'm going to press me. Here we go. Okay, so see now how it froze here, and this line is highlighted. So what we can do is we can do what's called inspecting our variables. So if I place the cursor over the variable, it will tell me what the value is. Sorry, my block. So right now, it says undefined because this line hasn't been executed yet. I haven't actually done, like, put the value of what's here into here. Okay? So, but we can check the value here if I hover over, or maybe it won't show me. But okay, so the value of password is undefined. So what we can do is we can go over here and we can, so see how that says step over next function call. So that's what we want to do. So that run goes to the next line. So what will the value of password be now? ABCD, right? Okay, now the value of password is ABCD, and the value of length is 4, but the value of pass length right now, why is that undefined? Tell me again why that's undefined.
You didn't put any 8 characters.
Well, we haven't run this line yet because
Okay.
it's frozen here. That's why, see, it's highlighted. So we haven't run this line yet. So the value of length is 4. Okay? But we haven't actually put it into pass length, which is still undefined. Okay? But if we go to the next line, now pass length is equal to 4. Okay? Now remember if statements, right?
Yeah.
So remember, this code inside here is run only if this is true. Right? So what's the value of pass length again? No, pass length. 4. Right? So is pass length less than 8? That's true. Right? So then that's true, so we're going to go in here and print out our message that your password is too short. Okay? So what I want you guys to try and do, and I'll let you work at it for maybe 5 minutes or so, and I'll help you out if you're having trouble, is I want you to do the same thing but with the username. Okay? So I want you to add to the validate form function. I want you to add some code that will also check if the username is less than 8 characters. Okay? So you should be able to do a lot of just copying and pasting from what we have now. The other thing you may, if you look back at our index file, you'll have to add something to this input. Okay? So that's the only hint I'll give you, and I'll help you out in a few minutes if you guys are struggling. So I'm just going to pause the recording. So do now is we're going to so this is what you guys have done. You've added a email, right? And you basically just copied this, okay, and changed it to email, right? Make sure you change your names as you go. Okay, email, and then you also did city. and you also did phone. Okay, so here we're going to do another type of input. So now we're going to do country. Okay, but there's only so many countries in the world, right? How many countries are there? Is it more than 200? There's like, it's like just over 200, I think, right? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to have an input, but we're going to have it as a different type. It's not going to be, oh, you know what, actually this isn't, we need to do, okay, hang on. I'm just going to look at notes for a second. Let's go to, I think it's this one here. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a drop-down menu. Okay, like so, you know, when you go to a form, things like country, you don't necessarily want to make people type that in, right? What you want to do is you want to make them choose it from an option. So the notes here are not very. Oh, here we go. Okay, a selection list. That's what they're called. So this is the code for a selection list. Okay, so what we're going to do is so we need the, again, it's kind of like a table where we have sort of an outer tag and then a bunch of inner tags. Okay, so let's go back to our code. So it's not actually an input type. It's selection or select. Okay, and then we give it a name. So we're going to call this country. Okay. And what else do we give it? An ID. We can give it, we can call it country as well. Okay. Now, what we have to do is we have to give it, so we give it a closing select tag. So let's have a look at what just that looks like. So just an empty select tag. So we're going to go over here and we'll click on, where was it? Is it here? No. Is it here? Okay. So now we'll refresh. So now, see, that's our drop-down menu, but there's nothing in it yet. Okay? So what we can do is we can give options. Okay? So we give, this is going to be an option in here. So what we can do is we can put in Canada. Okay? So now if we reload, we're going to have Canada as one of the options. Okay? So let's use our trusty friend Google, and let's find a list of all countries.
Yeah, go to Wikipedia.
Wikipedia?
It's giving you more than 242.
Wow, okay.
But the thing is that it keeps changing every year, no?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I want it in an easy format so that I can just copy and paste the whole list. Does the list, okay, list of sovereign states. Let's see who has the nicest format here. Okay. Wikipedia might be our best bet. See, I just need a straight up list. Let's actually, let's put HTML selection, because I bet you someone has done this already. Country list for form menu. Look at that. See, that's the beautiful thing. See, I haven't shown you guys this too much, right? So remember, Google is your best friend. I remember I showed you that XKCD comic, right? If you have a question, Google will answer it. Okay? So for example, we can just, rather than, like, it would be silly to think in our head, what are all the countries? Someone has already done this, right? They created a list for exactly our needs, for a form menu. See, someone did it already. So all we have to do now is select this, and we're going to select all the way down. Does it have them all? Seems has a bunch of them anyways. Okay. Or actually, no, we want this one, because this one has, with each value, it has the full name. Okay? So we'll select this one. Let's just select that whole box. So the way I select is I select in the box, I select Control All, and then copy. Okay? So if you go to, the way I got this list is I Googled list of all countries HTML selection. Okay? And now it's given us the exact code we need. So now we can just go in here and drop this in. Okay? So now we have this huge long all these options. Okay? Okay. So now when we go back here, let's go back to our web page. We refresh. Now look. Ooh, look at all that. Now we're starting to look like it's a real web page. Okay? Now what you might want to do is, you know, I mean, how many visitors from Afghanistan do you think are going to come to your web page? You never know. You never know. But let me show you. Let me see if I can. No, I won't be able to. No, they blocked that port. But I could show you the. Let me see. Where can I get the? If I can get a wired connection, I can show you the stats. Yeah, hang on. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, is this working? Nope, it doesn't look like the wired connection is working right now.
So why is the connection so fast here? Because this Centennial College is acting as a server, basically.
Fast? I wouldn't say it's particularly fast here.
I don't know, but if you go to speedtest.net,
Yeah?
check the speed is too fast.
Yeah? Even on the wired?
On the wire,
Yeah? What's the speed?
Wireless is useless. The 150 Mbps.
Yeah? That's pretty quick.
Because
A lot. Well, academic institutions get Class B IP addresses, and they just have good connections. Like it's all Ethernet through here, right? And they get direct connections to large pipes, direct connections. Whereas if you go from home, you got to go through. There's a bunch of steps before you get to that pipe, right? Okay, so this is. I was going to show you the statistics from my website because you can break it down by country. Well, actually, I could show you my YouTube stats. I have a bunch of YouTube videos. We could look at because people from Russia are watching some of my tutorials. Oh, I gotta just turn on. But so my overall point of this is that maybe you may want to put at the top of the list some of the more, the countries you expect, like Canada, U.S., right? If it's a Canadian site, I would put Canada up there and then U.S. Okay? So where did all my icons go? Okay, we'll forget this. It's kind of, let me just show you how to do it. So what we'll do is we'll just go down to, where's good old Canada? So we'll cut that and let's paste it up in here. We'll change that. And let's maybe United States. We don't want to make our American neighbors to the south. We don't want to make them scroll all the way to the bottom. So we'll put them up top here too. Under Canada, though, because Canada's cool. Okay, so now if we go here and we refresh, here we go. Okay, so, okay, here's the next thing. Now, so I'm not going to tell you how to do this. I want you guys to practice looking it up on Google. Okay, so what I want you to do now is, so in your validate form, I want you to make sure that the email address has an @ symbol in it. Okay? At, like this. No, but so, an email address looks like this, right? So if I submit this, it should give me a message saying invalid email address. Okay? So here's a hint. There should be a function in JavaScript that will tell you if a certain character exists in a string. So think of a Google search that will tell you. So what tool are we using, first of all? JavaScript. We're using JavaScript, and we're using a form, and we're using a text field, and we want to what? What do we want to do? We want to check to see if it has an @ symbol. Okay? So I would type something like JavaScript string @ I'd put the @ and then I'd say symbol exists. That's what I would search in Google. Okay. So the question was, okay. So I'll try and do this without any assistance. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, so the web page should have, so we're going to have HTML, right? Then we're going to have a head. Then we're going to have a closing head. Then I'm going to have title. So my name's going to be at the top. Okay, so you should have a title. Then 2 paragraphs, so I need a body and a body. And then I'm going to have a paragraph. I went to the store. And then I'm going to close that guy off. And then I'm going to have a second paragraph. I also went to the other place. Went to school. Okay. A heading for each paragraph styled as heading 1. What I did today. H1. Okay. And another H1. What I also did today. Closing H1. Okay. Then we need a link to Google. The Google. ahref equals http www.google.com. Close. Then we need the label. Then we have our closing anchor tag. Okay. Then we're going to put the a link. So we're going to do link relation style sheet, and then is it source? Help me out, guys. Is it source or href? Source, and then we'll say style sheet.css. And I think there's one more optional one. That should be okay. If you had that, I would have given you full marks. Okay. Then underneath here, so now I'm going to have, this is new file now. Okay. So this is style sheet.css. So it says set the background color of the body to black. So we say body, and then we say background color black. Okay. Then also use CSS to set the font color to white. So we just say color white. And an image contained in the file image. So then we go back up here, image source, image.jpg, close, and it's a self-closing tag.
Oh yeah, add input image.
Image. Yep. And that's it. That would have given you a 10 out of 10 for that.
Yeah, I got 6.
6?
Yeah, add input image.
Yeah.
And my style sheet was completely different.
Yep. So let me see if I can paste this. Question 10. Let me see submission views. Or let me go here. Question 10. No, it's question 13. I'll just post this up here. Content. Add content. I'll just add. create content. Okay, what I'll do is I will save this as question 13 answer, and then I will upload it. Okay, so that's there. And I will, before next week, I'll write up just some couple ideal answers for the last kind of short answer questions.
If you repeat this question, then you know.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions about the test? That's about it. Okay.
Especially the CSS one. I got only one in it, that's why I got 4.
Mm. Okay.